sound a little technical, but I've tailored it towards your needs because I went through the profile and I can see some of you are into agribusiness and even furniture. Some of you are farmers and all of that. So, but then I would just speak a little bit about that, and then I'll talk to you about my transition or my personal experience having been on a mentoring program like this, and how that has empowered me to also be an entrepreneur. Okay, I was supposed to give like a 40 minutes presentation, and I've been told I have just about 10 minutes, so I'm going to try and squeeze and do the best I can. Okay, so I work with Binari for short, and we have 5 centers under Binari, which is the Nuclear Agriculture Research Institute, the Biotechnology Center, Radiation Technology Center, Radiation Entomology and Pest Management Center, and the Technology Transfer Center. So basically, Atomic Energy Commission explores the use of nuclear techniques in different fields. And Binari, which is my institute, we use nuclear techniques to enhance agricultural productivity. And so these institutes, or these centers, have been empowered to do that in different fields. So just to run you through a little of what we do with BTC, which is Biotechnology Center, they look at techniques like in vitro techniques. So they are able to multiply platelets using in situ methods. So for instance, you have your farmer, you want to go into oil palm. Some people keep recycling their stock, right? But then as you do that over time, you realize that you have certain challenges with insects and pests and all that. So it's always good to go back to the original source to propagate. And in this center, they do that. So you can also bring a specific breed of plant that you have for it to be multiplied. So you have a huge land and you want good quality planting materials. They can do this, and they do it in test tubes. So you go into that area where you want to process compost, because now we all know about climate change and all of that. We're trying to reduce the impact of pesticides and fertilizers and all of that. This is a very good field that people are venturing into. So there's a whole center that takes care of developing different compost tailored to specific crops. For RECMIC, they actually look at using nuclear techniques to manage pests. So currently, I don't know how many of you know about the fruit fly incidents for mangoes, where most of our mangoes are being rejected when it goes out because of fruit flies. So there's this technique where, let me just simplify it. So we use nuclear techniques to kind of sterilize the insects. So when you introduce them onto the field and they cross, you're effectively what is it called? Reducing their reproductive cycle. So eventually, gradually, we're reducing their population. And a mango farmer came to us to help because she wants to now venture into the export market. And we realized that we were banned for some years actually, and so she wanted a way of enhancing that, making sure that her mangoes were wholesome. So we use this technique, and then gradually she is reducing the population on the farm. However, even though she's surrounded by other farms, she's still having some challenges. But then this is a very promising technology. We also have the insect bait, which is an organically produced bait, which she's using on her farm. So she wants to go organic as well and reduce the impact of the use of fertilizers. So this fruit bait, which is cheaper, locally made, which is much cheaper than what we're importing, is tied onto the trees. Okay, so when the insects feed on it, what happens? They die. You do not use insecticides, and so you can guarantee that you're producing organic fruit. So these are practical technologies that we have. I wouldn't want to bore you too much, but let's move on. If you have any questions, you can ask. So this is a picture of the tissue culture lab that we have. So we are able to propagate in test tubes, large quantities that you can transplant on your farms. We have a piggery, we have a poultry farm. We do research into different breeds of animals that you may want to adopt. So we have farmers who come in to cross their pigs because they want specific traits, for their markets. So just encouraging you that science, research, and technology is a practical thing. We all know the saying that science is the backbone of development. Sometimes I wonder if we believe it. I wonder which backbone we are talking about, because that is why we are here. We are here as scientists to produce valuable technologies that can be taken on by business people like yourself, entrepreneurs. Now I want to narrow down on food irradiation technology. So in Radiation Protection Institute, or Center, which is my center, we focus on the use of food irradiation to reduce post-harvest losses, basically. And this technology, which is food irradiation, has been researched into over the course of over 50 years. So you're basically using ionizing radiation. You're exposing the food product to ionizing radiation, and by so doing, it causes some modification in the product, and then you have certain results, which I'll go through. One of them is important. It has we've done toxicological safety analysis, nutritional analysis of the products that we work on. We've done microbial safety analysis. So it is not a very strange technology that people should fear. I'm sure when you hear GMOs, you freak out, right? That is how it is when people hear of food irradiation. But most of the foods that are coming in are actually irradiated. You ask yourself, how can chicken be produced in a country and stored for, let's say, 6 months? It's coming here and they're wholesome. And you think nothing was done to them. So please, it's about time that we open our minds. And one thing is that when it's coming from the West, we are comfortable. But when it's done here, then we have complaints and problems. So this is not a scary technology. We need to embrace it. So this is a gamma irradiation facility on your left-hand side. And in the facility, we have a huge chamber, okay? And we have a cobalt source. So it's, I'm sure you all, some of you know about radioactive, yes. So the compound we use for this technology is cobalt source, which is radioactive. And it's stored in the ground in a pool of water. So basically, just picture this. And when you're going for an X-ray, okay, and you enter the room, and then they put on the machine. Within seconds, it goes through. You take a picture, and then do you walk about being radioactive, or you walk about with the rays from the machine? So that's what happens. You put the food in a chamber. The source comes up. It's calculated with the amount of dose and then the timing. It goes through the food. It goes down within a certain time. And then it does whatever it needs to do to the food in order to keep the food. So when you're using low doses in this, the application is that you can inhibit sprouting. So for instance, you can see the ginger. The one on the left was not irradiated, and the one on the right was irradiated. So you see that you've reduced sprouting. And most of the vegetables that are onions and things that are coming from abroad have been irradiated. That's why they can stay longer. So if you want to export, obviously you need to do something, and this technology is available for you. For doses between 0.15 to 2.5, you could use as insects to disinfect insects. So you have a bag of rice, maize, whatever it is. You can use this technology to reduce insect disinfestation. And if you want to delay certain physiological processes like ripening, where it was a conscious effort to help you tailor your research to address food security issues. So in the first year, we traveled around, so about 10,000 people applied, then they just select 90 people from across Africa. I think in Ghana we were about 4 then. And so they structure a program for you. So the very first year we took some lessons on leadership skills, science, how to write publications and all that. You had a mentor, you had a coach who mentored you for a year, and it was a it was a systematic thing. You know, we have two forms of mentoring, okay? There's the formal and informal, but this one was formal. So you were with this person for 1 year, and after the 1 year, you also pick a mentee and mentor the person for another year. And this has to be a female research scientist, because the gap between, you realize that 1 in 4 women, I mean, when it comes to scientists, in agricultural fields is a woman, but then when you look at the what is it called, the ladder, as you move up, then we keep dropping off, because there are so many challenges. A male-dominated field, we feel incompetent, we feel overwhelmed with family life and blah, 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 blah. So this is a very interesting program that is targeted for women like myself. And like I said, the key core areas that they helped us with. So these are listed here. And like you yourself, you're also on a program, isn't it? You're being mentored in some way. You should know that even though it's about you, it is not about you. Because you have the power to also create a rippling effect by also what? Mentoring other people, mentoring other business people, and also making sure, imagine that all small businesses or medium, whatever businesses, had opportunities like this. Imagine it. You know, and now we all know that it's difficult to come by a job, okay? So people are trying their best to launch on their own, and it is important that we serve as role models. We encourage each other and help to build a good atmosphere that will also encourage others. So having gone through this program, my purpose was that I was going to tailor my research to empower women in the area that I found myself. I'm a fruits and vegetables specialist, and then also post-harvest management when it comes to post-harvest management. So I tailored my research. And like I was telling you, most of our research ends up on the field. But now I was actually working on projects that I could push to other women or push to entrepreneurs. It was a conscious effort, even though it wasn't really supported by my institute, because all you do is, you know, you do working in the lab and proving A, B, C. But now you really want to push this research out. It has to be thought through and programmed. So I started working on basic products. I realized that sobolo was a big thing. People were venturing into it. So I did a bit of research into that. I realized that it had so many properties. It has about 3 times the quantity of vitamin C than even orange. Antioxidants that help to fight cancers and all of that. But even though I published, I also tried to help other young people to process the product. So I started with a few women. I have about 9 people who are making sobolo drinks now. Okay, so that was one of the first projects. And I realized somebody does moringa tea and all of that. Who is that? Moringa tea. Who is into... She's not here, okay. All right, so I worked on moringa as well. I wanted things that I could push. One of the projects too was on local rice. There's a lot of noise about local rice, isn't it? Yet, we don't do much with it. So trying to use food irradiation to modify the characteristics so that we're using it in baby foods and other products that can be marketed. So one of the people I worked with actually is doing a lot of complementary foods, baby foods, using different varieties of local rice. And then also some work on spices and then yam chips. You wonder why we eat potato chips when we have yam chips. And I know, especially the ladies, you know the difficulty we have with yam, isn't it? When you slice and you leave it, it turns what? It starts browning, okay? So we use the irradiation to modify yam, in that you can freeze, you can irradiate and freeze, and have it stay white and fresh, and then you can just use it like we use potato chips. So this product, if somebody could take on, could be exporting, yet it's, you know, we are done with the work, and we're trying to see if people will be interested. But I'm just happy to see that now we have yam chips on the menu. When you go somewhere, you know that you can order for yam chips instead of potato chips. So that's about some of the research work that I've done. But the current work which I'm done with for my PhD work was because I also realized there was a lot of issues about to help this lady. She needs certification, AMA certification, health certification in order for her to upscale. And one friend replied and said, oh, she can help her because she has a hotel and she does that for her workers, the kitchen staff and all that. So she volunteered to take the girl and help her get the certificate. And then, what else? Somebody also said she had a cafe around airport. She wanted to serve some and see if clients liked it. And gradually this girl was getting so much demand. She hired 3 workers and she's now a madam. In fact, the last time I saw her, I couldn't even recognize her. You know, so what she does is she has these 3 girls who make the toffee. And guess how much she makes in a day? 400 Ghana cedis profits a day. And so now she's madam. If you see her in her, I mean, I'm always laughing at now, yeah, levels don't change. So I was like, is this what it takes to empower somebody? So I started getting requests here and there, and then all I do is facilitate. So I look around for friends, food research, Lego campus, who have various expertise. And then we just try and help. And like I said, it was non-profit. And gradually it was becoming overwhelming. People were asking for help, you know. And I thought, you know what, maybe like you, let me turn this into a consultancy or something of the sort. So Impact Food Hub was born. Yeah, Impact Food Hub was born, and basically to help people with food processing, product development and branding. So we tailor your needs. I mean, whatever challenges you have, whatever needs you have, it's tailored and then we work on it. And you should know that you need expert advice. I heard the comment about how services are not really, look, yes, and at least for now, the few clients I've worked with, in fact, one of the clients who was a mango farmer came and she just wanted to go into dried mangoes because she's the same person who was having the insect problems because, oh, they weren't giving her good prices and they were rejected. One whole batch of mango was rejected. And, you know, when it was going, shipping out. So she just wanted to dry them and see what she would get. So we did some trials for her, different drying methods, and then the cost of drying was becoming a problem because you either have to use electricity or gas, and then you have to import the dryers. But which of you know that in food research, they have a unit, an engineering unit, that does local equipment? How many of you know that? Okay, so we adapted a simple dryer that uses gas, but then it's cheaper, much, much cheaper than what we're bringing in. And she also wanted to diversify, so we wanted to look at other products. One of them was a mango hot sauce. I didn't know you could combine mango and pepper, but she's done this product. And I remember the first time I said, you know what, even though we've come up with this, but let's do shelf life analysis. Like, oh no, I just want to put it on my shelf. And then I will look if it's okay. I said, no problem. Because, you know, she didn't want to pay for the service. I said, don't worry, put it on your shelf. And then she puts it on her shelf. And like, when will this thing spoil? I'm like, of course, there are ways to find a shelf life. There's something called accelerated shelf life studies. You can quicken it and then you get your results. Because ShopRite was on her neck. We want samples to sell. And of course, it's still on the shelf, isn't it? So she doesn't know when it will spoil. So she came back eventually, and then we had to do the shelf life analysis for her. And that is one way you can use science. Like I'm saying, even though that it will look like, oh, I don't need you. These are important services. If you want to be a serious entrepreneur, there are certain services you cannot run away from. You ask for technical advice. And sometimes it's not just about the money. Form relationships, you understand? Relationships that can be beneficial, but then do not take away this mentality. I mean, don't walk around with this mentality that, you know, oh, I'm figuring it out on my own. There are so many research institutions, so many outputs that you can benefit from. On that note, I just want to say that for those of you here who have challenges with the products that you're working on, this Impact Food Hub will offer free consultancy services. Free for you. If we have to do specific, test here and there, then the cost comes in. Because for instance, we help facilitate certification for food and drugs. Some people want to register. I have so many people, they want to register their product, but it's so scary. They go and then they give them a form, they can't even figure it out. So one of the things about certification is when you go and apply, they would want to see where you're processing, right? So they'll come to your facility, and if the outline or you haven't put things in order, they would send a report and say, do A, B, C, D, E, F. But if you had somebody helping you out, you would do that A, B, C, D before you go for that because it will take another 6 or 1 year for them to get back to you and resolve these issues. So that is a service that you could be beneficial to any of you in that area. So basically, and these are some of the services we can help you with. Developing your product, branding your product, food product processing itself. You want to process, but you want different recipes because you can't just combine things. It's a technical process. We'll offer quality and sensory evaluation, certification like I mentioned, shelf life studies, training, and then hopefully in the future we're looking at incubating startups and then because that's one of my dreams. I think we need a place where people can come and how you can house them for 1 year and teach them the process, by which time you have equipment that they can use. How many people can buy, like the one guy who is processing cheers, Bisab, he's doing a fantastic, I don't know if you've seen his product. It's a classic Bisab drink, but then he doesn't have, because he wants to upscale, he's doing it from his kitchen. He needs huge equipment, where he can heat. Well, if you order right now, he tells you that how many, when he's always talking, because most of my friends are always calling him, and he's not able to deliver. But he cannot put up such a facility. So if we have such a facility where you can incubate people, when you can process, maybe once a week, you come in with your raw material, process, and then there's a storage place for you until you're ready to take. Won't that be helpful? In fact, that's also one of the things I'm trying to push through to this government. Even though we want one district, one factory, how do you do one district here in Accra? Will that be beneficial? So I'm trying to sell this model of an incubation center and a processing facility. It's very generic, has all the equipment for drinks, for foods. People come in, you log in. In fact, there are huge, they do this in different universities where these incubation centers help to grow entrepreneurs. So this is one of my dreams. I'm praying that it comes true. I'm still looking for a land and hoping it comes true. So thank you very much for your attention. I hope it's been helpful. Okay, so 1 or 2 questions.
Please, mine is on the tomatoes powder. I want to know you just show the solar dryer, the raw tomatoes and the powder. I want you to throw more light on how it is done and how do you use it? Because I've never seen the powder tomatoes in the market.
Can we add a second question? I saw you had.
With your technology, can it be used to treat waste water? And also, when it comes to composting, how can that also be used on composting waste for fertilizer or biofertilizer?
Thank you for the questions. With the tomato powder, the technology that I developed is a very simple one because it's targeted, it's for farmers and processors. And I realized that all the complex dryers that we've come up with have not worked. And so you have a dryer that has a solar panel, has this, has that, and it's too mechanical. When one part breaks down, you can't figure out how to replace it. So this is a very simple dryer. It's a mixed mode dryer, passive meaning that you don't need to force any air in. So we have the hot air, the wind blows into, it has a collector, it goes to the collector, and then it has shelves. So as the hot air goes through and rises, it dries the food sample and there's an exhaust on top. So you leave it in there for, the batch that I dried stayed in there for about 3 days. And then you're reducing the moisture content to about 13%. And that is the product I got. If I show the I did the experiment I did with different pre-treatments and all of that, just to preserve it. So you can preserve with salt before you dip in salt, before you dry, you dip in sodium metabisulfite, which is a common chemical in the food processing industry, and then you dry. So once you dry, you can mill together this powder. And if you see the picture of the solar dry powder and the sun dry, there's a huge difference. The quality that I got with this dryer is very good. You can also use this for, tomato has a very high moisture content, and to get this dryer to do the kind of drying that it did is pretty awesome. But then it can be used for pepper and all of that. And by using this, you are also preserving the quality, because you don't have dust and insects and all kinds of strange things going onto the product. So the quality is also, we did analysis on microbial quality, lycopene content. We even gave some to consumers to cook with. And maybe I should do another time a presentation on that for you to really get it. So if you have further questions, we can talk about it.